What you need, computer? We're good?
No, I'm good.
You are up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session for, what day is today? February 20th. Time is flying by. Glad to have everybody with us today. We're going to jump right into it. So let's go with Idaho Transportation Department. We've got Mike, Lauren, Bo, and everybody else associated with that. Come on up. Have a seat, introduce yourselves, and the time is yours.
To start?
Hi, my name is Lauren O'Connor. I'm here with a company called RBCI. We're contracted on this project to do public information and outreach. This is the US 91 Siphon Road to Reservation Road project that we're here to discuss with you all today. I have a few handouts, just what we plan to go over, as well as a couple of fact sheets that I'll come bring around to each of you while Bo and Mike introduce themselves.
Okay.
So I'm Mike McKee. I'm with Horrocks Engineers. I'm the consultant project manager. We're contracted through ITD. So,
yeah, I'm Bo Frazier. I am the ITD engineer for this project, the project manager.
Okay. And just, Maury, are you just here to listen, or can I have you come up in case we have a question for you, just for fun? Since you're a short timer, we're gonna make you work.
So we're really just here to inform you about the project, the upcoming project that we have right now. We're getting ready. We're planning on doing a public meeting here at Tyhee Elementary School here in another couple of weeks. And so we thought it would be a good idea to go through and we're just meeting with all the stakeholders, just informing them of what the project is. And you know, we're still in a very conceptual phase or stage of this project. And so as we're starting to move forward, we just, like I say, just trying to make sure that we've got the information that we need so that we can move forward. So, Bo, do you want me to talk about the project, or you want to?
I can give us a little introduction to this. So ITD is planning a series of roadway improvements along Yellowstone past that interchange by Chubbuck. So if you look at your sheets, there's 3 different projects that are going to be happening. One is a concrete repair. I'm sure if you've driven through there, it's pretty rough in there. Then there's a park along the Siphon, which is where that Yellowstone tapers back down into a 2-lane road. That's going to be widened through that park along the Siphon area to 5 lanes, so 2 lanes in each direction in the center turn lane. And then our project will pick off where that one ends. So right there at that intersection between Siphon and Yellowstone, there's going to be a light introduced with the park along the Siphon project, and a taper after that, and then our project will come and widen the section between Siphon and Tyhee to 5 lanes, as well as adding sidewalks. And then the section between Tyhee and Reservation is just going to be a pavement reservation, or not reservation, a rehabilitation. It was originally going to be a 5-lane all the way to Reservation Road, but ITD doesn't have the money for it, so we're going to settle with going from Siphon to Tyhee as the 5 lanes, and from Tyhee to Reservation as a mill and inlay. So mill off a few inches and repave.
Cool.
So as we're moving forward with this project, the idea with this project is because we're having to widen, we're planning on at this point widening to the east. There's a farm field out there. We're trying to stay away from that Tyhee Canal that runs parallel to that project, and so we'd like to stay to the east of that. Like Bo talked about, we're picking up from that intersection of Siphon. They're actually shifting that intersection to the east quite a bit as well, about 15-20 feet, and so we're going to pick up at that and keep that alignment to the east. Taking that alignment, we're going to excuse me, continue that intersection at Tyhee and Yellowstone. We're going to keep that intersection shifted east as well. At this point, we're not planning on putting a traffic signal at Tyhee and Yellowstone, but we want to make sure that the geometry is such that it's forward compatible, so that if that is ever warranted or needed over the next 5 to 15 years, then they're not impacting any of the canal structures there. So as we get through that intersection, like Bo talked about, we'll taper back in and get back on alignment of that existing alignment. So. Let's see, currently the schedule of this project, we're fairly early in this project. The timeline of this, like I say, we're just in conceptual phases right now. The plan is to, we've got construction dollars set aside for 2031. And so we're about 6 years out. But we're moving forward with the design, trying to acquire, work with utilities, work with get the right-of-way acquired, and get all the environmental stuff done so that and then get the design done so that if money becomes available earlier than 2031, we'll be prepared to do that. So I think originally it was slated for 27 and got pushed back, so we're kind of trying to fit in that time window. So, we're continuing to do public outreach right now to make sure that we're understanding all of the impacts, all the things that we need to worry about, doing some one-on-one property meetings or property owner meetings and stakeholder meetings. Visited with a lot of people this week, and we'll continue to do so. And then we've got a public meeting scheduled for March 6th.
Thursday, March 6th.
Yeah, and so that's kind of our schedule there. So, any questions or things that we need to be aware of, or the comments that you have for this project?
So the widening on I-15, is this completed before this project's going to start then? So they're not both arteries going to Blackfoot working at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are aware there's going to be some projects happening in Blackfoot at the 2031 timeframe. So the interchange is there. So we have been in contact with some of the like Sputnik, and talking about how we can manage routes for shipping. These two projects will be happening at the same time with Blackfoot's. So when the third lane expansion reaches there, and they start fixing those interchanges.
Okay.
Maura, you got any thoughts on this? No?
Something we've been looking at for a long time.
Okay.
It's getting awful busy out there, that's for sure.
True.
Turn lanes and sidewalks will be real good. A lot of residents going in out there.
I'm just kind of curious, with the funding, and you said if funds do come available, how often when you're doing a project of this scale, do you get bumped back and then say, hey, oh wait, there is funding, and you move us forward again?
So it can technically happen. So we're getting this prepared and ready, and we're going to be prepared by 28. So theoretically, if IT does get the funding and decides for whatever reason they want to move it up, they could at that point. I was told it wasn't likely, but not in my control.
Okay.
And in my experience, it really depends on the size of the project and the cost. And so as we start to move forward, we'll refine our cost estimates a little bit better. And then sometimes if projects come in under budget or other projects don't get delivered and we can find that right hole slot, then there's an opportunity for it to move forward. But like Bo says, it's not very often.
Okay.
Well, if there's extra funding, we want to complete the project and Ecom first. But I live on Rapid Creek Road. There's being detoured around right now. Everybody's going past my house.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions?
No, I think it's a good project and it needs to be done. But thank you for coming and
Yes.
talking to us about it.
Appreciate that
Of
very
course, thanks for
much.
your time.
Yeah, we'll try and keep you informed as we're moving throughout the project. Like I say, maybe as we hit different phases of the project, you'll see us maybe a little bit every year as we get closer. So.
Yes, Kyle, I think you-
Kyle, do you have any thoughts? Does this impact you at all?
No, I think it's a great project. It makes things take something up there for us really, and our intertwining streets, I think it'll be a great improvement for that area.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Dan? Boy, it was good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dan Kendall, Facilities Director, here for my monthly update. Maintenance-wise, snow removal, obviously, we've been here since 4:30, 5 o'clock this morning, moving snow. Haven't had too many storms this year, so it hasn't been too bad. The steam line in the tunnel has been fixed. We're done with that. President's Day, we had our annual inspection day, so every President's Day we bring in Teton Alarm to check the alarms. We bring in Legacy Fire Suppression, checked all the sprinklers. Prevent Fire checks all the extinguishers. They check the backflow preventers, so super busy day. We were here all day. Got everything passed fine. Had a couple of damaged wires up in the annex attic that people have been walking on with the HVAC work that's been going on up there, so we had a little troubleshooting with that. Got it fixed. Downey brings their extinguishers up on that day as well, so kind of get theirs done and they don't have to go clear to Downey, so worked out good. Busy day, but went well. Project-wise, the annex, the fire suppression system is in, the ceiling grid is in, the lighting is going in and should be powered up this week. Hoping the HVAC system is fired up in the next 30 days, so it's moving along pretty well. I'm sure Anita's ready for them to be done, out of there. They were in there Monday as well, so it was a zoo over there. Judge Jarman is moving today, so the guys are helping her move up, and arraignments will move next week. So that is
Walk up
going
there and
well.
look at that.
Yeah.
As soon as the arraignments move out, we'll start the demo work on that room. The woodwork is already here for that room, so he's already gonna start with the staining and get a little jump start on that. But we'll start with the demolition as soon as they are out of there. Still waiting on the third bid for the audio video on that room, so I haven't heard back from them. But the exhibit building, the shell is up. We're gonna start with the underground work, so that's kind of a important step of the process to, you know, not create a delay. I'm gonna go there tomorrow and kind of lay out the walls in the dirt so that when everybody comes, hopefully it goes as smooth as possible and get all that plumbing put in there. But there's a little bit of electrical to go underground, a lot of plumbing, a little bit of propane. But that contractor, Teton West, has been super good, super efficient with their time. I don't want to slow them down, so we're going to do everything we can. Kyle's going to help me a little bit with the digging some holes for me. Some of those are, the fire suppression line has to be down 7 feet, so figure backhoe would be in order. So
Save your back.
yeah. The YDC building, they are digging the footing and foundation trench as we speak. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, just trying to prevent anything that might come up later. There's a lot of questions, a lot of things that aren't on the print that, people don't know what's going on. The hard parts are the security system and the camera system and all those little things that, the architect doesn't put on the plan, and it's just, it's tough, but Headwaters has been excellent, and I try to answer their questions as fast as we can. Your team in your office helps me out a ton. So far so good. Hopefully weather permitting, we get some concrete poured next week. 6th Street, kind of waiting on the weather a little bit. We got, landscaping to finish up, painting to finish up, a little bit of roofing, fascia, soffit. So the metal detector should be here in April. Hoping everything is just wrapped up first part of April and get out of there. But for the most part, it's done.
We talked about the sidewalks a little bit yesterday. You want to let them know what's going on there?
Yeah, so it's kind of the shady side of the street, and this area is just a really sandy soil. Whole courthouse just sits on sand. It's crazy when you start digging. Not a rock to be found, not a lot of dirt, it's just sand. So I think from being on the shady side of the road, there's a lot of moisture in there, and we have some frost heaving going on. So we're gonna watch it and see if it goes back down. There's there's probably 4 spots that they're gonna have to remove and replace. It broke, so the ramp, a little bit of the ramp and about 3 sections of sidewalk, they're gonna have to come out and be replaced. But we gotta wait for the temperatures to come up, see if it goes back down, see what kind of damage we have. But CM's been really good, they know they're gonna do it. We're probably not gonna call in for a final inspection until we get that done. It's not something they're gonna pass off. There's some of those sidewalks are up 1.5 inches, if not more, so.
So what about the panels and stuff that we talked about putting around there instead of the cones? I noticed that it's pretty heavily a thoroughfare
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I was over at the assessor's office yesterday. A lady came out of that parking lot over there to go across. I said,
Yeah.
well, that's blocked off. And Well, I'm just going over here. Well, it's not plowed, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at your own risk, but
It's a struggle to keep people out. Doesn't seem like it matters how many signs you put up or what kind of fencing you put up, they find a way through. Oh, man, it's been a struggle. But yeah, if you think we should, we can definitely bring some panels, but
I just, like I said, I'm just a little concerned about people walking through there and ice and stuff.
yeah, it's probably been the biggest battle of the whole project, is keeping the public out of there. It's been a struggle, but I'll have the guys look at it and see if,
We can visit about it.
yeah, I agree, it's definitely been a hazard, especially with the sidewalks being heaved up like that, it's a real tripping hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah. They mentioned that they start cutting sod in April, so we're first on the list to get that wrapped up.
Okay.
So hopefully the weather warms up and we get this thing wrapped up. I think that kind of covers everything. We have the signs are coming probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks, get that put up on the courthouse. And I think that's enough projects, right?
Sounds good for
I
a
don't
day or
think the
two.
projects ever go down. I think we just get one off and add another two.
Yeah, yeah.
I was down at, went through your magnificent new building down at Downey,
Right?
and the Fair Board brought up a good point with the maintenance guy down there. I haven't seen the designs, but what would be the possibility of putting at least a stub out a shower in there for emergency, or whatever, if somebody needs to clean themselves off if they get into something?
Sure.
In one of the restrooms, I don't know, are you gonna have those men and women, or are you gonna have combinations? How are you gonna do that?
Restroom wise?
Yeah,
No, there'll be a men and a women's.
okay. But I don't know which, but I guess if there was an emergency and somebody needed to go shower off, wash something out of their face.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and I don't know if there's what it would take to put a single shower in there for, mostly probably for our maintenance guys, but in case something really did happen.
Sure.
A face wash.
Yeah.
Or is there a place, and
Oh, yeah.
I don't know whether this, the city's got those other restrooms down there, but I don't know if they maintain them through the winter.
They don't.
And there's no showers down there? Just a thought, if
Yeah.
you could, without really bumping any extra costs or whatever, now's the time to at least look at that, to put
Yeah.
that, a floor drain in or something
Yeah.
for a possible shower down the road, or
Heck yeah.
there's something there.
You
There's-
should have an eye wash station in the shop. That's where
Well,
he's gonna run into the hazardous stuff, isn't it?
but there's no water.
No water.
Just somewhere they were talking, but if he's on a different part of man, I'd hate to go 2 blocks to find something to wash my face off if I had it. And I don't know what it would be, they just brought it up.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I told him I would at least mention that.
There's 2 janitor sinks, and then there's also a staff, like an employee restroom. I'm sure in one of those 3 areas, we could add something like
If you
that.
did, and I'd just soon do that rather than do it, if there is just look the next time you think about it.
Yeah.
See if there's some place we could put, the eye wash isn't a big deal, it's just a tank
Right?
that they could use, whether it's in the shop, but the shower,
Yeah.
there could be a case, but is there somewhere else
Oh,
for
yeah.
showers?
Well, there was showers that collapsed, and they probably missed on that a lot. They used to shut their bathrooms down all winter.
Okay.
This one will be heated all winter, so
Okay.
now's the time. I can definitely
Well,
add a
that's
shower
what,
head.
it wouldn't take that much more,
No,
a stump
No.
something in there, even if
Nope.
we had to put just a shell of a shower or something
Yeah.
in there, but,
yeah, it's no problem.
okay.
Yeah, now's a great time to bring it up, because haven't started the plumbing, so I think that'd be a great idea. It's not gonna add much for cost
The heater does not work very well in that building right now.
in the shop.
The new
Well-
building, the exhibit, there is no heat in there yet, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
It was cold yesterday in the middle of all this snowstorm.
I'm a little afraid it's gonna be colder inside than outside for a minute.
Downey got quite a bit of snow.
God, I was in the
Today.
middle of it, and it was just coming horizontal. But anyway.
I was gonna go down.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Very impressed with how that's bigger than I thought it was gonna be.
The middle part,
When you walk in there, you thought, my word, that is
Yeah.
a big building.
that middle section is huge.
Yeah.
It is, Yeah, I had the same reaction. From the outside, I was thinking, wow, it doesn't look as big as I thought. But when you walk in, I'm like, wow, this is
Yeah.
nice. We're really struggling with making sure that they're equipped for whatever displays they might have in there, because it's so big. You could use it for so many different things. So as far as like power and future growth and food trucks and displays, or like even if they're trying to sell hot tubs or whatever it might be, we want to be set up wiring wise.
I was very impressed with, that crew was just, they were working out in
Yeah.
that terrible weather on the
yeah.
outside, but inside was, it really was impressive.
They're actually a week ahead of schedule. They've
Okay.
been just outstanding. I've been super impressed. And the quality too.
Yeah.
Looks really good. I'm excited to get going on it.
I didn't have to stumble over a lot of trash. I mean,
No.
they're keeping themselves clean. I mean,
Yeah.
all of the
Yeah.
extra stuff in there, it was, pass it on. I was impressed with what they were doing down there.
And Scott's been a good help too with having a dumpster there for them and
Yeah.
hauling that stuff off. So it's have a pretty great team that we work together, and I'm excited for this one's going to be a good challenge for us to have it done by the fair.
It won't be a challenge for you, Dan.
It will be done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Levi. Shanda is out sick today, so Levi is pinch hitting.
Yeah. Morning, Levi Waldron, Chief Operations Director and Security System Specialist for the Bannock County Sheriff's Office. That's a mouthful. So, as you said, Shanda is out sick. She asked me to come and present this. This would be our recommendation for the pre-qualification stage of the generator project. We had 4 contractors submit qualifications. After reviewing those qualifications, our recommendation is to pre-qualify and allow the following to bid on the next phase of the project, and that would be Arco Electric, Idaho Incorporated, Legacy Power Systems, Barron Group, and Pro Builders Incorporated. All 4 were met the qualifications to move on to the next phase of the project. So
Okay.
if I'm using the correct wording, our recommendation is to pre-qualify all 4 of those and allow them to bid.
Okay. Any questions? Then I would move that we accept the recommendation and authorize the 4 mentioned to move forward with bidding.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then she also had some letters to send out to
Yeah,
those
yeah.
contractors, so, for your signature.
And we can take care of that.
Okay.
So you're off the hook. Good job,
Perfect.
Levi.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Christie Hauser, Comptroller.
Christy Clauser, Comptroller. The first item I have, well, I thought I had 2 items on the agenda, but I only see 1.
I see 2.
Okay, good, okay. We'll start with the Idaho Power. I did ask Jen and Anita to come,
You guys want to come on up?
and then I will just kind of run through what this is about. Around the end of December, I believe it was, the Treasurer's Office, the clerk, and the assessor would kind of all receive notifications. Idaho Power and Avista appealed their property tax valuation. To give you background, I'll just kind of read the Idaho Power letter. Operating property is assessed by the State Tax Commission. That includes all railroads and property, operating property, which would include Idaho Power and Avista. The Tax Commission assessed their property, and basically Idaho Power, which I'm only going to say Idaho Power because we don't have Avista. Idaho Power appealed that valuation, similar to the VOE that you guys go through. They appealed it based on 2 separate laws, the uniformity clause in the Idaho Constitution and the Federal Railroad Revitalization and Regulatory Act of 1976. They call it the 4R Act. The uniformity clause requires all property be taxed uniformly. That means that if the property of one operating property is taxed at market value, then all operating property must be taxed at operating value, or at market value. And if one drops, the other has to drop. The 4R Act is a way to protect the railroad industry from states that gave more favorable tax treatment to commercial property at the expense of railroad property. So it was just their ability to try to keep those equitable. In the lawsuit, Idaho Power argued that they are entitled to the same special treatment that the railroads received from the 4R Act. Under the uniformity clause, they contended if a railroad had its assessment lowered by 85% of market value, they should also have their assessments lowered to 85% of market value. The tax commission presented to the district court with the argument it had followed all along that the 4R Act required one thing and the uniformity clause required another. Because of this conflict, the federal 4R Act applied narrowly to only railroads and left the rest of the state's property tax system alone. The district court agreed with the state tax commission's reasoning, which upheld that valuation. Idaho Power appealed that ruling and went to the Supreme Court. After hearing the arguments, the Supreme Court reversed the district court and sided with Idaho Power. So basically, the situation we have is for properties 2020, 2021, and 2022, because Idaho Power has already paid their taxes. This ruling reversed that, and we had to adjust down the market value for all properties for Idaho Power in Bannock County. And this is a statewide appeal, or a judgment. So a lot of counties have already paid this. Due to timing, we didn't have the calculation done until, I think Jen got it done 2 weeks ago, and then we had to get on the agenda to come before the board. To give a little perspective, this is not the first judgment that Bannock County's ever seen. The most recent ones were, we had a Idaho Hydro one that affected McCammon, the NUG, in 2024. Lumen had one in 23 and in 24, and Pacificor had one in 2008, 2009, and then 2010 through 2013. So this isn't anything new to Bannock County, but we wanted to bring before the board the amounts that are going to be owing to Idaho Power. And if you look at the, I'm not sure which page it is in your packet, the first page shows the valuations. This one was a lot more complex because it involved 35 different tax code areas for 3 different years. Jen did the calculation, and it took her a handful of time to get the calculation done. But then if you look at the next page in your packet, this is a breakdown of how much money is going to be owed with interest by each taxing district. How we tend to handle these is Bannock County will write the check to Idaho Power, and then we recoup those dollars from the taxing districts as property tax dollars come in until Bannock County is made whole. The city of Pocatello is choosing to just write us a check. So they've got a check that's in the mail. I wanted to reach out to Idaho, or to the city of Pocatello and School District 25, since they're kind of the larger amounts, and just give them a heads up, let them know this was happening. Because next year when they do their L2, you have the abilities to recoup those tax dollars by adding a special levy line per Idaho Code 631305. So, City of Pocatello is choosing just to write us a check, which is the same thing they did to Power County. So, we just wanted to bring this before the board, let you know about this, and then also just run through the process of how we will handle the refund.
We received an email from Jonathan last night, and I'd like him to kind of review that and talk a little bit about his interpretation.
Well, so the decision that was made by the Supreme Court of Idaho, that was on an appeal from a motion for summary judgment. The summary judgment was granted in part. There were open lines of litigation that weren't addressed after the Supreme Court issued its ruling. I'm not certain what happened after that at the district court level, whether there was a settlement between the State Tax Commission and Idaho Power and Avista. I don't have a specific recommendation for the board today, and I do have a question for Christy. How much time do we have before we have to make a final decision on this?
If we don't make the payment here shortly, we will continue to accrue interest. Idaho Power has agreed that if we'll get this paid, they won't add additional interest to it. These are standard procedures of appeals. I have a formal judgment from the Supreme Court stating that we have to pay this.
And I get that. My question is, if there was do you know if there was a settlement, whether Idaho Power settled with the State Tax Commission?
The
Are you aware of
judgment's a
that?
settlement.
The judgment is...
From my understanding, because basically what happened is Idaho Power appealed the value.
Okay.
District Court upheld it. The next level is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court reversed it. So
Correct.
I'm not sure there's another appeal that can happen. Okay, so this is not.
That's within that's within the property tax evaluation procedure. In my view, there are some open legal questions. The decision that was issued by the Idaho Supreme Court, it assumes the constitutionality of the 4R Act. It's those two acts acting together. It's the Idaho Constitution and the 4R Act that result in this scheme that requires us to value all the property the same.
The state
as long
taxes
as
to
it's-
value.
Correct.
Right.
As long as it's operative property. The question that I have in relation to the 4R Act is whether the federal government can mandate how properties are taxed at the state level and local level. That's been upheld in the past, but with the current Supreme Court, that's been upheld under the Interstate Commerce Clause. When you're regulating train cars, you're regulating thoroughfares, you're regulating the channels of interstate commerce. That's clearly open to proper regulation by the federal government. But making decisions as to how the states tax the property within their boundaries, I'm not sure that is. It's a statute that's been attacked on multiple occasions. It's been constantly appealed since it's been passed. And with the change in the makeup of the United States Supreme Court, I do have questions as to whether it's going to stand. And so I don't have a recommendation today, and that's why I'm asking Christy how much time we have. I need to know what the nature of the agency relationship between the tax commission and the county is, how they can bind the county. I know that we have a judgment from the district court following the Idaho Supreme Court's decision. Is that accurate?
Well, they're not fining us.
Okay.
So what has happened is we collected taxes based on this value. And per the judgment, the value should have been this.
Correct.
So we were overpaid in our property taxes, so it's not a fine. It's a...
No, I know it's a judgment. I know it's not a fine.
Sorry, you just used the fine that through me.
Oh, sorry. Do we have a decision from the district court? Or do we
No,
just have a decision from the Idaho Supreme
we
Court?
have the decision from the final appeal, which is just the Supreme Court's
Okay.
judgment.
Okay.
We would not receive the district court judgment because they upheld the state tax commission's value.
Okay.
So there would
That
be
makes
nothing for us
sense.
to receive.
Okay. What I would ask, and I don't know if we have time to do this, I don't want, I feel that there's some lines of research that I need to do here before I can make a recommendation to the board. Do we have a week, Christy, for
Yep.
me to look into this?
Yep.
Okay, what I'd ask the commission to do is allow me to look at a couple of issues. The first is the agency relationship between the county and the state tax commission. The operation of the judgment against the county. We didn't have a seat at the table in this litigation. I've got questions about that, particularly if there was a settlement. Two, the constitutionality of the tax mandate provisions of the 4R Act. I'd like to look into that. I'd like to look into see whether other counties have challenged this. And then lastly, what the cost of litigation would be, if that would be my recommendation.
So we would go to litigation on behalf of all Bannock County taxing districts or just our portion?
Our portion.
Okay, so
Well, I don't know the answer to that question.
at the bottom of this letter is who you can reach out to at the tax commission,
Okay.
Jarrett Rudd.
And is that an attorney?
No, he's not an attorney.
He's
He's the director over the operating properties.
but he could connect you with an attorney if that's who you would like to reach out to at the tax commission.
Well, I'd also like to reach out to Blake Hall, if I have the board's permission to do that.
I'm good with that.
We talked about this at the clerk's breakout with IAC, with Seth, and with Ellen Dornfest and Ben Slosky. And it's pretty universally not pretty, it's universally being paid back in this same format that Christie has suggested. So we do have a week that John can look at this and talk to some people to give him the warm fuzzy he needs to let him know that which way is best, but it'll.
So in reading that letter, we have two options of paying it back, right? One is to pay it back dollar-wise right now, or to give them a break on taxes next year.
Unfortunately, if we gave them a break on taxes next year, it would probably result in a multi-year credit, and because we've already missed the December tax deadline due to the timing of it, the easiest accounting payback would be us just to write a check and hold back property taxes. That's how we've done it in the past, just simply because of the accounting process, that it just makes it easier for all parties involved, which is
Well, and
our
then
two
my
offices.
second question on that is if we chose to not just pay it back right now, but to go to next year's taxes, are we incurring?
If we do that, we've talked with them, and if we do that, then we'll start accruing interest. We'll have to pay back this year's interest. If we tell them right now, we're going to pay this back lump sum, then they're not going to charge us interest for this year at any point. But if we do push it off into next year, we will then have the additional of this year's interest paid.
And so
To be
then,
paid.
then the other question is, the other taxing districts, they have the same choice. I mean, if we pay straight out,
The board makes, the county commissioners make the decision for the entire tax, all of the taxing districts. They don't have a choice.
okay, I just,
Yeah.
couple things that I worry and wonder about.
Yeah, and my worry and wonder is if we push that back, we're gonna have a litany of light bulbs go off and questioning this and questioning that with the other taxing districts and the assessed values and all, why are my taxes affecting next year? That's what I'm asking, is if we do put it off, how many more questions are we gonna have to answer? Then, that they said, why didn't we take care of that last year? I guess that's my concern, is
Yeah.
by putting it off, is there any advantage of putting it off versus just
My only
nip it right
concern
now and be gone with it?
is we pay this off, and then you got cemetery districts that don't have any
They won't have
funds, that don't have any funds. Where's Bannock County's money? I mean, how do we guarantee that we're getting our money back from the other taxing districts?
We don't give them property tax dollars until it's paid. That's why we do it the
So-
way we do it.
So you're withholding their.
So we
their
would
funds.
withhold next year from them
Yep.
if,
Yeah.
And I'd rather do that current than trying to extend it another year out and then just muddy the water, is my opinion. But notwithstanding, I mean, I get your concerns, but I don't want to be looking people in the face trying to answer their questions a year from now and go, well, this took place. If there's a simple, quick, easy snip, I'm all for that.
well, I want to give John his week.
I do too.
I want to see what's going on, but I don't want to just say yes to Idaho Power.
I do have questions about why the State Tax Commission didn't challenge the constitutionality of the 4R. And that is what this modification of the valuation is based on. That's the crux of the Idaho Supreme Court's decision. And I'd like to know how that litigation ended after the Idaho Supreme Court handed down their decision. That's just a question that I think needs to be answered.
Well, you got a week.
Okay, all right. What I'll do is I'll get on the agenda for next week and I'll present a memorandum
Okay.
to the commissioners, to Ms. Clauser, to Mr. Dixon.
And I won't be here next week, so you guys can do whatever you want to do.
You can watch it on YouTube and text
Oh,
us.
no.
That's right.
I am not going to watch it on YouTube. Not where I'm going to be.
Oh, they got cell service.
Don't want it.
Oh,
That's the whole point.
The whole reason to go on a cruise.
all right, Christie, number 2.
Thank you.
The next item I have on the agenda is to discuss the forensic pathology inventory. Commissioner Huff got me a rough count of some of the items that we have in storage that were purchased through forensic pathology. There's some items on there that both the coroner and the sheriff's office might be able to use. And then there's a fridge that we were, I had mentioned to Dan Kendall that we had, and he thought that would be a great item to use up at the YDC building. So I would like the board's permission to send this list to Tori and Tony and have them run through and see if there's some items they need. And then potentially they could coordinate with Commissioner Huff, since you've got the key, to go up and take their choosings. I didn't realize the sheriff's office has jail deputies that, I had the word and I lost it, that can draw blood. And so there's a handful of these items that would be of great benefit so that they don't have to buy them out of their budget, and the county's already paid for them, basically out of county operations. And then for whatever's left, we'll come back before the board and see what the best option is with what's left.
And on the other part, like she has talked about, I'd like to talk to Ada County and see if we can exchange
Yeah.
autopsies for
There's some
equipment.
there's some specialty tools that should be able to do something
I
like
think
that.
that ought to be part of it in our works. And then all this stuff that goes to the sheriff's office and stuff like that should have the stickers on them or,
It's like gloves.
oh, okay.
So the supplies are gonna be rough to do that with, but what I'll ask is, maybe when they go up and do that pick through, I'll send somebody up with, so that they can kind of run through the count of what they're taking, what's
Yeah,
left.
just so we do the inventory
And
and
then,
check that off.
That way we can see what's left so that we can present it to Ada County as an option. There's a couple little cameras and some items like that that we should probably be able to bring those things back if they're
Correct.
smaller. And we could maybe put them in Adam's office. Cameras, I don't know if like sheriff's office could use for investigations, maybe Anita for, I don't know. We would just have to see how specialized those things are. But those are some items that we could, after Tori.
Emma, possibly.
I
Camera.
think she's
She's good with her cameras.
bought
Yeah, but-
cameras, but
Yeah,
we can just see what other items like that there are, and then,
but not, like I say, I think we ought to talk to Ada County though and see what we can
Yeah.
exchange values for.
so anyways, I just need the board's permission to move forward that way, and then, like I said, I'll send this list and coordinate, or if Commissioner Huff would like, we could just give Tori and Tony.
Tori has access, so he knows how to get there. And it was kind of funny, because I took Tori up there with me to do the inventory. I said, I don't know what this is, Tori, to you? And he knew what some of it was, and there was some other stuff he had no idea what it was, so it was kind of fun. But no, either Tori and I can go up there and do that, so I'm good with that.
I just thought it would save your time if Tori and whoever from the sheriff and my office go up, but
Yeah, no, that's fine.
sometimes more hands is better too.
I'll make that motion that we go ahead and authorize the redistribution of those items, either locally or make contact with Ada County to see what's the best use of those things.
Okay, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And the words phlebotomy.
See, I had it last week.
I had to stop.
I didn't need it today, or this week.
Bloodsuckers.
Consent agenda. Invoices, commissioners' reports, and credit applications.
I do want to note on the commission report, I got a phone call from Buddy, the Kenworth truck that you guys signed the invoice last week for. We thought the welds were better on the bed. They were not. All they did was caulk over the welds. So they hid the bad welds. Buddy discovered that, called Viking and said, come get this. So all we are paying for is the truck so that we can get the equipment put on it for winter. And then they're sending the bed back to get the welding fixed. And then once that is done, then we'll pay the remaining of the invoice. So you had authorized $300,349.50 on that invoice. In the commission report, we are only approving $181,749.50. So I wanted to make sure you knew, just because there was a change on that invoice.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
So, and on the commission report, I'd like to not pay the $300 on line one, on page 1,
Okay.
until we have a further discussion on it.
Okay.
I concur.
Okay, and so then
Will
any,
you line through that and put do not release this and initial it?
And that's a lot of bullets.
any other questions on salary approval forms, payroll reports, credit applications, anything else on the consent agenda that we have discussion for? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will make a motion to approve items on the consent agenda.
Well, there's nothing for you to sign there. That's for the 10 o'clock, for the public hearing. I knew you'd have to sign.
If you did something over here, I'm gonna sign it.
Did we vote on that?
Nope.
So we have a motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. But I'd like Weston to talk to us about that too.
Okay, and there is an issue that we'd like to bring Wes in, so I'll talk to you about that to get that on the schedule. Okay,